And we're live. Hey guys, how's it going? I see we have some people watching here. Let me go over to the comments. I was trying to play that intro there. Heartsight, welcome. Merry Christmas to you too.
Hey, Merry Christmas to everybody.
Yeah, I hope
Hope you had
everybody.
a great day.
Yeah, I hope everybody's had a wonderful holiday. I know I have. We've hung out with family and everything, and Joe got his bourbon shirts in. So
Finally got my bourbon shirt.
there we go. Now we're in uniform. So he's got the hat and the shirt. But tonight we got together a little bit ago, like we always do, and decided we are going to do a bourbon walkthrough from a base bourbon up to not the premium, but one of the more premium offerings from the same distillery. These are all going to be Beam Suntory Jim Beam distillery. We're going to start off with the 4080, the regular old Jim Beam mass-produced bottle that is cheap. And the reason that this stuff, you can get it for such a reasonable price, is they follow the law to a T, and you cannot distill bourbon at higher than 160 proof. So they're pretty much going to nail that with this. They're going to maximize the amount of bottles, the juice they're going to put out. Then they're going to cut it with water down to 125 proof ish, because it can't be more than 125 proof going in the barrel. They're going to barrel as many barrels as they can, and then they're going to age it the minimum time. This is a Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey, which means it has to stay in the barrel for 2 years. And you can see how light and amber color this is, and you'll see it better in the glass. And then once they've aged an appropriate amount of time, I don't know what this one is, but 4 years is when you don't have to claim an age on it, 4 or more. But it only really has to go 2 years. As long as you're honest about the age, you can say this is a straight bourbon whiskey, aged 2 years, 2 years, 6 months, whatever, right? So then what they're going to do is put those barrels just packed full in a rick house, a warehouse. And they're going to let them age, and then they're going to blend them all together. And we call it blending. They're just going to pour them together. Because if there's certain barrels with bitters or other imperfections, it's going to be a wash with all that. And then they're going to water it down to 40%, 80 proof. And then they're going to fill these little bottles with it. And that's what you're going to get. And I'm not saying that this is a bad bourbon, but you have to know what you're going to get. You're going to get extremely base notes, and it's going to taste like an ice cube melted in it already. So this is what we're going to start with. Then we're going to take the exact same stuff, and we are going to go where they have selected certain barrels for a single barrel batch, and they only cut it down to 95. So this is 47.5%. This one's going to have better notes than the base, but not a lot better. Then we're going to see what Baker 7 does after tasting and stepping up the food chain here. So let's start with this one.
And that one's cheap because you get a lot of bottles out of that barrel.
A lot of bottles. And they don't really care and feed for those barrels, all that. You know, they don't baby the barrels. I'm not pouring a lot of this. I'm just going to pour enough where we can get a good, honest taste out of it. All right. And then we'll go to the single barrel after this. But look how light. I mean, that is so light amber color. Give it a little swirl. You're also going to see it's not going to have the legs. So the clinging to the glass, you're not going to get a lot of, you're going to get really fast, thin trails coming down. If you get beads at all. And I'm getting a little, I have to get the light just right behind it. They are like the little string on a guitar, you know. And that's about all the trails, because the oils is what coats the tongue and makes the trails. When you add that much water to something, you're diluting it down, you know, a lot. I mean, I can nosedive into this glass and I don't really get an ethanol burn. I mean, I can stick my nose all the way down in there and take a big hoof off of this. And you don't want to do that. I mean, you'll make your eyes water with some of
Don't
those
do this at home.
Yeah, but I'm getting vanilla. I'm getting, just faint apple, So let's go ahead and give this a little taste. It's watery, but there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, if I were out camping and this is all I had, I'm going to drink it,
Yeah, why not?
But
Tastes like bourbon.
I certainly wouldn't put water in it, and I wouldn't even put ice in it, because if you do, you're going to be left with nothing. You're going to be left with a faint hint of tea or something, like a really, really weak, tea. Yeah, I mean, there's a sweetness, down there, and you're going to find the same, but amplified in this next one. But don't expect a lot out of the single barrel. But that Baker's is going to kick you now.
Everything kicks me right now.
All right, single barrel.
Merry Christmas to everybody in the chat room.
Merry Christmas, happy holidays, all of that stuff. We got New Year coming up. Okay. Now this one is not much darker. A little bit darker, barely. Only because they didn't proof it down as much. But you can see it's a little bit darker. We'll see what the legs do on this one. Oh, they're running down really fast. It's still running down fast. But look at these. Look, see these trails? They're not the little E on the guitar skinny. They're a little bit thicker.
Right.
Just a little bit. And what that's gonna do is when you get it on your tongue, it's gonna coat really well and cling, and it's gonna cause a lingering of flavor. All right, Hunting and Stuff is in the chat. Goth Chick's here. Hey, Goth Chick, did you meet your Sam's brother last night? Now, this one gives you a little more ethanol kick. Barely. All right, let me see. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you see how those notes are coming through a lot stronger, and it doesn't taste watery. It doesn't taste like you had a bourbon, even not a great bourbon, and a piece of ice melted in your glass, and you come back later and it's even warmed up and all that water is in there from that ice. That's what this reminds me of. And I have done a comparison of base bourbons before where I'll put Jim Beam, Evan Williams, and I'm talking about the plastic bottles against Benchmark, McAfee's Benchmark, which is a Buffalo Trace product. It is still a 4080 bourbon, but it kicks the crap out of these. And it's $10 for 750 milliliters. So if you want a base bourbon, but you want to step up just a little bit, but you're talking about the difference in flavor between like Coors Light and Miller Lite or something, So don't expect it to knock your socks off. I cook with it. Oh, she hasn't met him yet. All right. Well, he must have had something else to do, but I was excited for you on that one. Oh, but even just that step up, and
just
right, and you
tastes better.
Yes, it tastes better, and
stronger, a little stronger.
Yeah. Now I'm not saying I'm getting a crap ton of notes out of it, but the notes that are there are more pronounced, far more pronounced than the regular Jim Beam. That's what Jim Beam I think is supposed to taste like, more than the little bitty one, the little brother. All right, let me pour you a little of this Baker's. Now this Baker's is going to open your head up. Now this is 107 proof.
I wouldn't be surprised. Yep.
And we're pouring them in the same glass because we are taking the juice. It's all Jim Beam.
A lot darker.
Oh, a lot darker. Yeah.
A lot darker.
Now that Booker's up there is also Beam Suntory,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a lot darker than this. But I accidentally put it way up there, and I can't reach it. Mm. Yeah, if y'all don't know, I changed the studio. I added a shelf here, right here. This one was not here. These little shelves over here were stacked up here where this shelf is now. I had so many bourbons down where you couldn't see them that now I have pulled them all up because there's cabinets behind us here full of bourbon. So it's just off camera. You can't see it. And I pulled all that up and spread it out. So now you can get a better view of the collection. All right. So, yeah, this is darker, a much darker amber. We're getting richer in color. And by law, you cannot add color to bourbon. No artificial color. It has to come from the barrel, from the wood. So I'm going to give this a nice professional swirl here. And oh yeah. Now, you remember the legs on it, those drops that were running down?
Mm-hmm.
This one was like teeny tiny, like pin skinny. This one was a little thicker. Now look at them.
Yeah, they're a lot thicker.
I know it's hard to see on the camera, but if you hold your glass up to the screen down here and look at it against the black shirts, you can see how thick those trails are. Now they're still running faster than some of the better bourbons I have. I mean, so I have some bourbons up there that are thick, like lots of oils in it, and those will make your head spin a little bit. But oh yeah, see, I'm picking up some wood notes out of this, some oak, getting that toasty, little bit of toasted in there. I'm getting more caramel, like a darker caramel, more of a baked fruit note instead of like just a flashy little apple note or something. Raisins, little allspicey, cinnamony, it's getting a little pepper in there. I mean, this one's not bad. I mean, I'm not going to oversell it because some of these notes are extremely subtle that you pick up.
Wow, I got the raisin note.
Oh, and when you put it on your tongue, you forget what you were drinking over here. This actually has flavor and notes to it. Now that, compared to these two, is a flavor bomb. I mean, there's no other way to put it. Hey, Merry Christmas, Fulton. All right, we got Mr. Great Shot in the house. Cheers and happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and we're coming up on New Year's, and what was it after that? Super Bowl is all that's left, and then we have to wait for summer.
Yeah, I know.
But now you can see why I don't dog it. I'm just saying, look, understand what you're buying when you buy this. And if here's my deal. If you're just looking to get drunk, you can do it faster with like the old tub because it's 100 proof, and it's Jim Beam. It's, the old tub, bottled and bond. You'll get there a little faster than this 4080.
Yeah, a lot faster actually.
But if you want to enjoy it, Baker's. The
sipping stuff.
Now,
yes.
Booker's is about to price themselves out. I don't think a lot. Well, Booker's is a hit or a miss. They have releases through the year, and some releases are better than others. Certain ones. And that 2019-03 Country Ham up there is one of the best Bookers I ever bought.
Really?
Yeah, and that's why I still have like that much in the bottle. And that's why I put it up out of my own reach. I
thought that's why you had so much, because it was too high.
I'm short
for you.
though. I'm only 5'10", so I'm a little short. I can't reach that up there. I'm sure Joe could.
Yeah, no problem.
Don't worry about it. That's these cheap stools. They have those little wood things that when you screw them together, you put the little wood stopper on it, and they pop out all the time.
My stool's falling apart.
I just leave them on the floor, and the next time I sweep them up all the way. Because y'all can't see the stools anyway, so they don't have to.
Yeah, why not?
Let's see. I'm all over the map today with my pours. Started with Eagle Rare, which is a fine step up base bourbon. Then Old Forester 1920, which in my opinion is better than Eagle Rare. And the last one was Redbreast 12. So it's a good way to do it. Just keep stepping up. Except for I can't attest for Redbreast against Old Forester 1920. I think the Old Forester 1920 is one of the best Old Forester offerings, but I'm not familiar with the Redbreast 12. So don't know what that is.
We'll have to find that out, huh?
Yeah, I will have to research that. Is what is Redbreast, Mr. Great Shot? Is that a bourbon? And if so, what distillery? Where is it from? Yeah, I'm just it's not coming into my head right now. David Bays, cheers. Let's see, what did he say here? Did you know Baker's has store picks now? Nope, I was not aware of that either. I picked one up last month. It's 11 years, 8 months. Awesome. Because really on the bottle, they say 7 years minimum. They don't say that it's 7 years. They say minimum. So, yeah.
That's enough.
It can be 11. But no, that sounds great, man. 11 years, 8 months. I'd like to try that. Oh, Irish pot still. That's why I'm not familiar with it. So he went from bourbon to Irish whiskey, which I have nothing against Irish whiskey.
That's a good switch. Yep.
Yeah. What is that? I used to know what that was. Is it the cheap old Irish whiskey? The one, they always talk about the teens get it or whatever, after prom, just to get smashed on or whatever.
What was that? I think we did that after prom too long ago, though.
And then this was in Ireland. In Ireland, they have something that they name off and go, so not since I was in college, I can't remember what it is now. But now I know far more about bourbon than the Irish whiskeys. But now this was a good step up right here. And that's why we use the same glass, because you're not going to cloud anything. It's already, they clouded it themselves on this one. And then, but even that step into the single barrel, that had a lot better notes.
A lot different taste, yeah.
But if we had done this in reverse, by the time we got to the regular old Jim Beam, you wouldn't have tasted it at all. And I could pour you a little now and you'd see. Going back to it, you won't taste it. Henry McKenna 10. Yep. That's a good one. I have it sitting right up here. And that I actually like it better than the Baker's. And I can pour us a little bit of it, and then we can see what a good 12-year does.
Okay, let's do it.
Because Henry McKenna 12 is good. And you can see already how dark it is in the bottle. It is not bad at all.
I'm game for anything.
I'm pouring small pours here so that we can drink more variations. I'm not filling them up to the hips. But now, look, compared to the Bakers, I still have some Bakers in here. Tilt your glass and look at the color compared to this one. And you can see how much darker it is.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And that's just a longer aging and different char or, whatever on that barrel. I mean, it's, and some of them, they don't char the barrel as much because they don't want certain, like it's the wood sugars. The heavier the char, the sweeter the bourbon. And then there's certain things, certain grains, variations of grains they can use that will cut through some of that sweetness. But the wood is what brings out those vanilla caramel notes and that sweetness across the center of the tongue. And, heavier char is going to do that and bring out more of those, release the sugar.
I don't see the lines when I swirl. So
Well, you've kind of clouded your glass up, but I see them coming down. You got to get it just right. And like I was saying, if you hold your glass and kind of turn it as you're looking at against your black shirt on the screen, you'll see them.
Oh yeah, I do see them right there.
Yep.
They're really thick.
Yeah, and I have those black chairs, those theater seats, and sometimes I'll hold it up and look at it against those in the background. I like keeping it dark. Plus, these studio lights are bright as hell, and everything beyond that looks dark anyway. Yeah, let me finish this. I'm enjoying
this.
This
Tastes a lot different.
It's a lot different. It's a whole different mash, whole different everything. Where Baker 7 has the raisin kick to it, not so much on the McKenna 10-year, but you do get some good dark wood notes out of there. The toasted oak note, that charred oak flavor will come out in that. And it's a bottled in bond, so it's 100 proof. And it stands up really, I mean, I think it tops Baker's 7, and Baker 7 is 107 proof, where this is only 100.
I like that better.
Yeah, but this is better bourbon, and so you don't, proof doesn't always mean it's better, get 125, 127 proof, something another,
Unless it's Everclear at 190 proof.
Well, that's a neutral spirit. That's not a bourbon. Oh yeah, the black. Oh yeah, out of the Henry McKenna. Yeah, I'm going to finish this off here shortly. I'm really wanting to enjoy this Baker's pour because it does have some really good notes to it. But I know once I go to the Henry McKenna, it's going to be like, okay, I should have started. But now I try to lay my bourbons out where one's not going to kill the other. And the only reason I bought this thing was so that I could say, here, let me tell you why. Let me drink it and let me call out these notes or whatever. And it's true to form. Everything I walked you through just now is absolutely true to form. And, if people say, oh, you don't like Jim Beam, but no, I didn't say that. I just think the base bourbon it lacks in what it's supposed to have.
It's not liking it. It's just different.
And I've said this many times. There's not a bourbon I would kick out of bed, but I wouldn't marry them all. I do love those raisin and molassesy notes, in there. To me, that's something I enjoy, like a dessert, more like a desserty bourbon. It's not too sweet. Now, those drinks I mixed the other night, I mixed 3 mixed drinks for the holiday episode on the Clouds House pre-party. Oh my God, I'm just not a mixed drink guy, and especially not that sweet. I made like a white chocolate peppermint thing, and I was trying to pair it with certain bourbons. And the white chocolate peppermint I paired with I don't have the Mellicorn, Mr. Great Shot. I don't have a bottle of that. But I put Benchmark in the peppermint white chocolate because it's such a subdued flavor anyway. I didn't want to overpower it with anything. And then I made a spiked cocoa, and I put a Bailey's Irish Cream in it, along with the double oaked Woodford Reserve, because Woodford Reserve is a sweeter bourbon anyway. And then I made a spiked apple cider with a little Fireball in it for the cinnamon. Mm-hmm. But I had a little cinnamon because I cooked slow simmered the cider with an orange slice, a clove, and a little dash of cinnamon in there. I didn't have a cinnamon stick. And then I let that go for a little while, let it cool, and then poured it into a glass. And then I put a little bit of Fireball and the Four Roses single barrel, because it's 36% rye. in that mash bill. And I just thought those spices would need a higher rye bourbon to go with them. Otherwise, I probably just would have put a straight rye, but it was a bourbon channel. So, put a high rye bourbon. And technically, a high rye bourbon, there is no classification for it. So you have to be careful because some of them will have 18% rye and they'll call it high rye. But personally, I don't think it's high rye until it's over 20%. Then you can start calling it a high rye. But the Four Roses single barrel at 36% rye, that to me is a high rye.
Definitely, yeah.
I mean, because, literally you could be 51% corn and 49% rye, Dark whiskey in front of the Russells. Man, I just changed my shelf out. I'm looking at it. I used to know where, it's Russell's is over here. All of that is, let's see, it's behind you. So you're talking about the Russell's 10-year on the other side of his shoulder over there? No, this one. Oh, okay, I see. There's the Russell's. This one. If you're talking about this one, that's Koval. This one is a single barrel bourbon whiskey, Chicago. Now it's not a straight bourbon, so they only call it a bourbon whiskey, which means it could be aged a couple of months, but it is darker in color. So that tells me they either had they've left it in there but they didn't leave it 2 whole years but they also didn't dilute it much. They probably distilled it at a lower proof because this is 47%. So 94 proof. And they probably distilled it at close to that. Yeah, and then they just didn't add a lot of water to it. And that raises the price up on some of these bourbons too, as well. If they, like Rabbit Hole is high, and I know I've brought this up before, but they distill low so that they don't cut it down. They don't proof it down much with water. And that retains a lot of color when they do that, and a lot of flavors as well. Yeah, I'd never heard of it either. I saw it, and if I see a bourbon I don't have, get the cash register ready because I'm pulling my credit card out.
I don't think there's too many of them nowadays.
Well, there's variations too. And when I go back again, I know where I can get Penelope. And I started with the base Penelope. And I'm going to work my way up, but I'm going to get the cask strength on it, and I think they have a toasted barrel or something. I'm gonna grab it too. But pour me a little bit of this McKenna 10. You want some more?
Nope.
You good?
Thank you. Yeah.
All right, I'll keep pouring. I got plenty.
That's good for a couple minutes anyway.
Yeah, I've got enough to at least kill a Shetland pony. Oh, yeah.
Least, huh?
The legs are good. Yeah, nice, good dark amber on this one. Oh, right off the bat, man. The notes are popping on that Henry McKenna. Yep, it's more of a subdued type raisin note in this. It's not as dark. Now that one floods the tongue, all the way over. And you get a lot more oak. The finish on any of these is not real long. No, the Henry McKenna will last a couple of swallows on the finish, but the flavor on the tongue lingers a lot longer than any of these others that we've had. Tried some New Riff. Oh yeah. I've had my eye on a bottle of that. Sometimes though, when I say get the cash register ready, they have more than I'm willing to spend on that outing. But I've been eyeballing that New Riff here and there. Gosh, when I go in and they have chicken cock and all these other bourbons and anytime I see a 1920 on the shelf, I grab it. Because 9 times out of 10 you go in and there's this Old Forester, that Old Forester, empty slot, this Old Forester, and that empty slot is the 1920, and so I'll grab a bottle of it. And also when I walk in, they know who I am. So they're like, I got something in the back. What you got? Well, I've got a Eagle Rare, and that's another one. Because you can't always find it. And she'll come out with like a Buffalo Trace, an Eagle Rare, and something else. And I'm like, okay, well, there's, over $100 right there, for whatever. And it's not bad on price because they can't jack the prices up here at the ABC. So it's 30, maybe $40 for the Eagle Rare, like $35 for the Buffalo Trace. Yeah, it's just the MSRP, on it. And then whatever else she's got under her arm, I'll buy it too.
It's nice to have a friend at ABC.
Yeah. Well, friends, because there's always three digits and a dot and two more digits on that cash register when I'm done. So, and a lot of times that far left digit starts with a 3. So they appreciate it.
I believe it. Look at the shelf behind them. Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, and that's not everything. I tried to get. I've spread out so much now I can't get it all in the shot. That's why I still like doing the VR 180 because you can scroll around, and see more. And if y'all don't know my regular videos, you can grab the screen with your mouse, with your cursor, and you can move it left, right, up, down, and all that. And you can put it wherever you want to. And
when I first started listing, he was doing 380 videos, and you would be sitting on the other side of the table. He would give you a shot of bourbon, set it right in front of you, and say, if you don't drink it, I will.
Yep, I did.
Couldn't grab it.
Yep. But I got tired of having to drink twice the bourbon. These bots keep popping in. I don't know what that means. Yeah, I mean, it's, one of those things. And this format here is more, I know I've called out some things in the chat. We interact a little bit, but this is more of our little journey here.
Just to kick back, just kind of easy does it for people that don't know about bourbon, like myself included. Learning session.
Yep. And I tried to shoot a bunch of videos like Bourbon 101 and walking through. And after years of enjoying bourbon, reading about bourbon, reading about the distilleries, reading about, touring, looking at the process, all of that stuff, you forget. You forget what you didn't know. And it's just so much of a volume of information that it's hard for me to sit here and say, okay, what's the first thing you should know about bourbon? Well, I don't know. It's the law.
That's an alcohol.
The bourbon law. But even then, we could do 3 or 4 episodes dissecting bourbon law. What does it mean when they say this, and walking through it all, and what's the spirit of it, behind that and why. I figured if somebody come in and say, I don't know that much about bourbon. We just start chit-chatting. So he's asking questions, and then I'm like, okay, that's a good one. That's a good topic. Let's walk through that, And it helps me help you, put it that way.
If you want to learn about bourbon, this is the man that'll teach you.
Yeah, there's a few of us out there that know a lot. But when we get together on some of these live streams, we get to bouncing stuff off of each other, and I'm like, yep. And we're pretty much preaching to the choir at that point. But I'm not the only one out there, but I'll bring it to you best I can. Merry Christmas.
And cheers.
And cheers. Yeah, we've drank some pretty decent bourbons here today. And
they're pretty nice.
Yep.
Yeah.
And like I said, I put some of that. I was going to put that Elijah Craig 18-year out of my reach, but that's one I kind of leave alone. It costs too much. So, and it didn't cost me that much because Jimmy from Moji-san's World, we met up in Arkansas. I went to visit my parents, and I was bourbon hunting, trying to find things I couldn't get here. And he took me to one of his honey holes, and when he goes in there, he spends hundreds of dollars on beer. And we go in there, and the guy's like, "Oh, we have this store pick. You got to try it. You got to try it." And so I tried it, and it was good, and we were talking about the notes on it, and I was telling him, they did a good job of picking a barrel or whatever, stroke them a little bit. And he's like, "I got something in the back you might be interested in." And he comes out, and he had that Elijah Craig 18 here, and I said, "Well, how much you gonna charge me for it?" And he said, "MSRP." And I said, "Well, ring her up." And so he did. And he said, we have more bottles back there, but I'm only going to sell you one. And I said, "Well, that's only, I don't want to spend more than that." Because I didn't tell him I'd already been to Sodi's. And I already spent $300 something at Sodi's. But it cost a little less than $200 for that bottle. But he said they were going to put one out for Memorial Day or whatever behind the glass. And he said, "We'll put $400 on it." And he said, "Somebody will pay it."
Somebody will.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely.
So I felt pretty privileged to get that bottle.
That's
for what
awesome.
I did.
Yeah.
And then we went to, I took a Fu Manchu. He comes on here, a friend of mine, Bill, and we played disc golf together and all. Well, we went to Louisville, and we went to Nulu District, down there, and stayed at a little boutique hotel thing, and went good restaurants, good bourbon. And we went to a liquor store, and they have tasting bars in their liquor stores. Yeah. And so we went in, and the first thing I saw was that tasting bar, and I looked up there, and there was like 3 different Pappy Van Winkles and the Old Carters and all that. And most of those things were $20 a shot, a pour. And they measure exactly an ounce, but they give it to you in a snifter, and it's pretty good little pour on it.
For $20, it better be.
Yeah. But I spent way too much money in there. But I got to try bourbons that you just can't get. And I told him at one point, I said, "Do you have any more unopened Pappies in the back?" And he goes, "Yeah." And I said, "Well, here's how many ounces are in the bottle. Just let me pay you for all of the pours, and just let me walk out with the bottle." No, we can't do that. Well, you can. You could. Technically.
We just don't want to.
They don't want to.
Yeah.
But I was going to, pay for all of the ounces, $20 a pop. But no, they wouldn't do it.
Yeah, well, we were talking about something last week. It's hype. And Pappy Van Winkle is good bourbon, but a lot of hype.
It is. It's a ton of hype. Now, I will tell you, it was fantastic when I drank it. But I've seen it on the aftermarket for $10,000, $12,000 a bottle. It is not that much better than some of these other bourbons. The mouthfeel is incredible on it. The flavors are there. Basket in the backyard. Oh, disc golf freak. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it depends on the course, but we've been shooting under. Bill hadn't quite got the under yet. I've shot 4 under at one of the harder courses here. I went to I went to a rec course over here, and it's like the longest drive on it's maybe 310, and I damn near aced every basket, and I shot like 12 under out of 18 holes, and I was like, yeah, that's too easy. So I was parking everything and birdieing. It was all par 3. Well, and they have a couple they mark par 4, but I called them all par 3. I didn't take that extra stroke. But their baskets are small, though. The Innova disc catchers they have a big band. Well, I'm trying to get it on screen, and the chains come down, and you have a big sizable basket. These things were like quarter size, or 3/4 size baskets or something. And the chains coming down, the top rim was like this, and the chains just came straight down. And the basket was a little bigger than the top band. But man, I couldn't hardly. I mean, you had to hit center chains, or you didn't make your putt. And that's the only reason I didn't have a freaky low score, because I missed a couple of putts I shouldn't have from no more than 15 feet.
Oh, man.
Yeah, the bot. I saw one of the bots earlier. I've made users moderators, but I don't know who I've made. And it seems like I remember seeing that name before. I'll just do that. But it only had one thing pop up, and then it didn't just keep going, you know. Yeah, we'll let it go for a little bit.
So I hope everybody had a good Christmas. Next week's. Lost my train of thought. I think this bourbon's hitting me better.
Well, we
than I
had four
thought
of
here.
them.
Next week is New Year's. A lot of drinking going on. Just be careful, everybody. Okay, don't drink and drive. You know.
All right, Mr. Great Shot welder for 19 years or for years made his own baskets for 19-hole course. I wished I had my own course because I mean usually we go and we play one of the harder courses and it's one of the more higher ranked courses in this area, and you don't get like on those little rec courses and stuff. That's where the families really need to go. But every once in a while there'll be like a group of like 12 or 14 people, and there's like 2 adult guys, and the rest is kids.
And they take forever.
Oh my gosh! And every kid is throwing a disc, and they can't throw it more than 4 feet. And you know they just throw it, and then they all throw, and then they walk forward a little bit, and they throw it. There's no way to lose a disc because they can't throw it far enough to have to hunt for it. But it's just inchworm all the way down. And that's when sometimes we just and they don't know etiquette. They will not let you play through. I mean, it's, you know, and they'll have like a whole stockpile behind them. But we'll just skip a hole and cut in front of them and go.
Yeah, some people are really inconsiderate.
But I've been talking about starting or making my own disc golf course. And
I can vouch for that.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't cost anything for the open tee times, but there would be rules. Yeah, well, I used to live in Texas, but that's where I started playing disc golf was around Fort Worth. I used to play at Veterans. Have you ever played Veterans Park in Fort Worth or Arlington? There, Mr. Great Shot. Because it's a pretty good course too, and that's where I didn't know who they were back then, but I saw some of the pros play there, and I remember I was on a league, and so we were amateur league, you know, and we were doing like judging and like crowd control, you know, they recruited us to do that, and then we got to meet the pros. And like I said, back then I didn't know who they were, you know, and now looking back, I'm like, yeah, man, because, you know, it's #1 golfer in the world. But yeah, I think a big Germ was there, and oh shoot, Ricky wasn't there, Ricky Wasaki, but his name just slipped out of my head right now. The one that just opened a course up down in Mexico. I can't remember his name. Yeah. It was insane though when they set that course up for the pros, because I thought the blue tees, because they had blue and red we had to play off the blues because of our league that we were in, but they even set up temp tees even further back, and there were some holes that I didn't think could be reached, and those suckers would throw a roller down there and it would turn to cap. Like there was one that was long and it went right into the woods, and those dang rollers would go down there and go right up in there. I was like, yeah, but they would leave themselves, if they're inside 36 feet, if they're not obstructed or anything, they're making that putt, you know. And some of them will make it anything inside about 45, 50 feet, you know.
Yep, some people do that really well.
See, when I hit one of those 65 footers, we go nuts. It's almost like I got an ace, you know.
It's great exercise, though.
Years. All right. Hey, I will check that out. Pigskin Blitz. Oh, yeah, he is. All right. That's gonna be good. I don't know if you watch it. I watch Joe Mez replays. 'Cause I just like the replays better on the way uh, Jeremy and what's his name does it on the replays, and they do the follow flights and all that. So it doesn't get spoiled, like there's not a lot of people talking about it. So I just watch it on the Joe Mez because sometimes they'll release the same day, like that night from that morning or whatever. They got a pretty good little setup going, pretty good commentary on that stuff. All right, guys. Well, we're getting ready to wrap this up. We usually go anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour. We try to keep this under control. Just a little episode for people to watch if they want to, and then we banter at the end. But it was great having everybody here that showed up. I appreciate it.
Thank you, everybody.
We're going to play this out.
If anybody has any questions,
Yep.
that's what we're here for, man. Ask them away.
Yep.
We'll get the answers for you somehow.
And we'll see you next week.
We'll see you next week.
All right.
Have a good week.